We're building a fully functional dynamic create mod city that not only looks impressive from afar, but also contains small details and nuances that bring the build to life, including different districts with a story behind each one. The end goal is to have a project that you can walk through and feel like you're exploring a real city. If you haven't seen the first episode, then don't worry, because last time I mainly focused on building, but this time I really want to get into the details and start to really develop the lore and the story of our city. This episode, we're going to be delving deep into how the city became the way it is, as well as integrating some real life concepts to make the districts more interesting. But first, the name of our city is, which is pronounced Zhongdu in Chinese and in Japanese. Those are the two languages I happened to use on Tid's Tower in the last videos, so I'm gonna roll with that. The name means the middle city, or the city of the center, which sounds dumb until you actually analyze the meaning of Asian city names and realize that they're in fact all named like this. Secondly, our city will have its own government system, kind of like Singapore or Hong Kong or Taiwan. And this is mainly just because it makes creating lore a lot easier. Okay, anyway, our city was originally a fishing capital. Being on an island in the middle of nowhere meant that boats wouldn't have to go too far to fish up exotic and sought after marine life, including the guardians, a native fish in the region and a delicacy to our city. During this time, most of the city's economic movement came from fishing, although it was not the most profitable market and the city was still quite poor. Until with the turn of the century upcoming, big changes were on the horizon. This era began with the newly elected Tid's Party, the Technological Innovation and Democratic Sustainability Party. This is the best I could come up with. The new government essentially says, "F the fishing, why don't we just focus all of our resources on developing technology instead? It's the new big thing." After a few years, this plan pays off and the city has now developed a stronger economy than ever before. News quickly spreads around the world and eventually the West hears about this and decides, wait, we want a part of this. So they offer to strengthen ties and in doing so also offer the architectural blueprint for Chuto 2, which was later renamed to Tid's Tower, after the party that brought the city out of poverty. By the party that brought the city out of poverty. They named it that. The original name was a placeholder representing that Tid's Tower was supposed to be the second skyscraper in the city, with the first being the Grand Plaza that had been built sometime in the 1900s. The drastic difference in architecture shows how much time has passed between the construction of these two towers. On top of that, Tid's Tower was specifically designed to look modern and ahead of its time, and as it was built in the early 2000s, the idea of what modern architecture would look like was a little off. That's why it looks so different to the other towers. Yes, the other towers. About a decade after Tid's Tower popped up, we saw the modernization of the city. It needed a facelift after rebranding from fishing to tech, and at this time, although Tid's Tower existed, every other part of the city was still quite old and run down. So with this, 4 new modern-looking skyscrapers were built. The issue is this plan of modernization was not extremely well received by the citizens. The quick economic boom meant that a lot of the poorer residents were now unable to make a living doing what they knew best: fishing. And the rise of modern buildings meant that the rich got richer and everyone else was kind of just left in the dust. Eventually, people took to the streets, protested the new changes, and attempted to take back their city. Right now, the city sits in limbo. On the sky level, it's this modern metropolis, but if you take a look at the ground level, some regions are stuck in a in-between state, where old, rundown buildings still stand, waiting to be upgraded. Additionally, as a result of the citizens trying to take back their old city, older traditions have snuck their way into more modern areas, like this fish market, which is situated in one of the garage levels of this modern skyscraper, where the locals have overtaken the parking lot to sell their fish to ensure they can still make a living in the big city. Now I want to make like a little food and dining corner. I know a lot of these fish markets have like little street stalls because I mean the food is right there. If you're taking like your kid on a Sunday for your weekly groceries, your weekly fish, they're probably not going to want any of this unless you give them food. Damn, guardian fishing is dangerous work. Okay, now we're gonna be moving on to something, in my opinion, very exciting. The thing is with these big cities, right, is they obviously have a lot of districts and neighborhoods. And in my last episode, I placed a lot of emphasis on making all of these districts unique and feel nuanced and have their own backstory and properties and all of that stuff. So now we're going to be starting one of these districts, and I'm very excited because I think, in my opinion, the theming is pretty cool. Right now we have just a bunch of skyscrapers, but there's nothing really at the ground level, and obviously, like, skyscrapers, they look cool from a distance, but they don't really tell you much about the city. You know, every big city got a bunch of skyscrapers. We're going to be starting with the flashy kind of shopping area of the city. Think Shibuya. Massive screens everywhere, bright lights, people just kind of existing in very large quantities, except this is a single player world, so there's actually not going to be any people. But once again, let's take a look beyond the surface and think about what kind of stuff actually goes on in a place like this. That's going to be a pretty common theme in this series, so maybe get used to it. First, verticality. A lot of these shopping districts aren't just shops on the ground floor. They go up, like way up. You have a building where the first floor is just a clothing store, and then the second floor is a cafe, the third floor is like some random dentist, and the fourth floor is a karaoke bar, and then somewhere above that there's like a restaurant that only locals know about. It's kind of weird, but it makes the whole area feel dense without actually needing a massive footprint. And what I mean by that is the district is not actually crazy big, but there's just so much going on because everything is just kind of squeezed in. Then there's branding, which is honestly like half the aesthetic. These places are basically just giant advertisements, but in a way that's kind of cool. You've got massive LED billboards, animated signs, storefronts that are designed to grab your attention from like 4 kilometers away. Basically everything is competing with everything else, which means there ends up being a lot of noise. And the coolest part, despite how modern everything feels, there's usually still pockets of older stuff hidden in between. Like you'll turn down a side street and suddenly it's way quieter. Maybe there's a small ramen shop that's been there for decades, subtle foreshadowing, or some tiny bar that only fits like 5 people. These contrasts are really important because it stops the whole area from feeling too artificial. Okay, now to design some of the buildings. I started by doing this in a copy of the existing world because I thought it would make my life easier, but that didn't sit quite right with me for some reason, so I took a slice of my test world and popped it into my planning world. It hasn't happened yet, but you'll see, and when it does, I don't want you to be confused. That's why I put a little specification here. My idea for this area was to mix a bunch of different little inspiration pieces I had. I started by making this more generic looking concrete box shopping building. I think a lot of these major shopping districts have something that looks like this for some reason. I then moved on, you'll see me building here, to a taller kind of tower shopping building with a bunch of advertisements just plastered in the front. I think I'm going to make this a department store. I then also decided to put a billboard at the top with art just because I wanted something kind of eye-catching to kind of be the main beacon of this area. The idea here still is to nail the line between something that looks like one of those flashy images while also accounting for the city's lore, which means, remember, mixing in these older looking buildings. I should also mention here that everywhere I have this white looking texture, I want to punch shops into the wall. So something that looks kind of like this. It was at this point where my creative juices in my brain kind of just ran out. You can see me go back on my designs. I'd been building for like 8 hours at this point, so I thought I would take a break and move on to some resource gathering and survival so I could actually place these buildings down. But it turns out this actually ended up being way, way worse. And I'm specifically referring to this building. I don't think I considered in creative how long it would take me to gather the resources for. So I overcame this hurdle by sitting in VC while my friends crashed out over CS2.
Terrible flash, bro. Was that their flash or our flash? No, it wasn't, bro.
Like that's not. It's crazy. They just feed him.
I only killed one.
Oh, I don't even care. Actually, I only
you Zeus.
God.
So let's get into it.
We'd shut up there.
Oh my god.
Thank you. The all-time banger. Is this it? Is this the all-time
Oh, I
banger?
sent it in the chat, but no, this is the all-time banger.
Spider-Man.
But actually, look at his channel. There's more all-time bangers. There's more all-time bangers.
What?
My egg mascot.
Oh boy, my attention span is not good enough for this project. My god. I'm gonna take a break from resource gathering, and we're gonna let's build a convenience store. Now, last episode we built the Quickie Mart over there, but I thought it'd be a fun idea if we had 2 more convenience store brands kind of competing with each other. Mostly because they're everywhere and it's a good thing to fill space with. And I decided to go with the name 24/7. If you couldn't tell, this is supposed to be a 2-4/7. This is the closest I could get, so... Okay, I'm gonna get back to work. Okay, so now we're gonna take a bit of a break from building the big towers and we're gonna move on to the roads. Now there's a lot to do here and I also do want to extend it, but also you guys sent in a lot of requests last episode because I asked. I thought it would be a nice little segment if while I did something very boring, which is make the roads and stuff, I go through some of your comments and some of your suggestions. I do genuinely appreciate everyone who left a comment. Yeah, so we're gonna read over them. I also have a camera. I've set up a camera behind me. So, what's up? 2 views. Wow, this is very high budget. Now, the first thing that I do want to address is the transport system. I have a lot of comments. Like, we got so many comments in the last video telling me to build an extensive transport system. Obviously, I'm gonna build that. This is the create mod. What are you guys talking about? The thing is, I was originally gonna do it more in the future when I have more of my districts kind of already laid out. But because there's so much demand for it, maybe I'll do it the next episode. Maybe we can do like a public transport episode. We got Fredbear's Family Diner. Okay. Mob switch to the new city and hide it under the Shinto shrine. Oh, that's a really good idea, actually. I think multiple people have suggested this, like, fire, like, earthquake, like, or, like, natural disaster memorial. Our city is on an island, so maybe, like, some kind of tsunami natural event. Maybe I can work that into the lore somehow. Like, the city had some crazy tsunami back in the 80s or something like that. And, oh, I like that idea. Hold on. You guys are cooking. Ah, car parks as well was a massive thing. Ah, yeah, this one. I think you should name the streets Shio. Or one of the streets Shio. Because Shio is TIDS in Japanese, apparently. We're gonna name the shopping district Shio. Train go through a building. Yeah, that's... seen that before. I remember seeing a comment of, like, somebody mentioning I should build, like, a convention center with a convention ongoing as well. That's a very good idea. I'm bookmarking that for sure. These things, like, I don't even think about. You know what I'll do, actually? Here's what I'll do. I'll make a document, and I'll list all the ideas. And then I'll list the usernames of people who comment these ideas as well. And then when I build it in the well, where I can write your usernames down if you comment it. So you guys should keep the comments coming. I then started work on the roads, which honestly took a lot longer than I thought would. I think roads are kind of just one thing you take for granted in a city, and you don't really have to think about it until you actually build one. I mean, if you look at a picture here, you can kind of gauge what you have to deal with. You have to think about which lanes turn into which other lanes, and then like these little dotted lines here for guiding you while you turn so you don't smack into another car. I gotta say the best part of a project like this has gotta be watching it expand over time. It's so satisfying. We're at the top of Tid's Tower now, and okay, we can't really see much. Let's go down a little. I think it's really cool that eventually when we stand up here, there's gonna be a view of an entire city. That's dope. That's dope as hell. Now I want to focus on a smaller, more tucked away part of the district. I mentioned earlier that I want to make a little noodle shop that's in a side alley, and I want to do that right here. So the idea is you're gonna have to walk down a little sketchy little side alley, and then the noodle shop, obviously there's gonna be another skyscraper here or another building here, but the noodle shop is gonna be attached to this old building, and basically the idea is it's this family-run restaurant that never shut down, and the city kind of grew around it. So I think if we build a little like rundown kind of, what is this called, a quadrangle I think? Also I can pack it full of lore because that makes it more interesting. First I gotta build the last building. This also seems like a pretty good time to mention that because I'm building a lot of builds in these recent episodes, and there's gonna be a lot of schematics uploaded to my Patreon, link in description if you want, I've decided to come up with an ordering system for them. It's numbers. I've just used numbers. The numbers refer to the chronological order they appear in the video. I just thought this was a better idea because last episode I had a bunch of random ass names, and this is a lot less confusing. Also later I update the mod pack, so if you're gonna subscribe to the Patreon, don't forget to do that because that might corrupt your game otherwise. This is Lee's Noodles. Tucked into a narrow service alley just off the main area of Shio, Lee's Noodles is easy to miss, unless you know exactly where to look. There's no towering sign or holographic display, just a faded red sign that hasn't been replaced in decades. At night, when the shopping district floods with activity and sound, the alley feels like a glitch in the city. The shop predates almost everything around it. Lee's Noodles was opened in the late 1970s by some guy called Lee, obviously. He was a second-generation fisherman who had grown up when Jongdo was still more dock than skyline. Back then, Shio wasn't a shopping district, it was a loose stretch of markets, repair shops, and cramped housing for dock workers. Lee started with a pot, a charcoal burner, and a recipe passed down from his mother. His great business idea was a rich, numbing spice beef broth designed to warm you after long hours at sea. When Jongdo began its rapid modernization in the late 90s under the TIDS government, entire blocks were demolished and rebuilt into the high-density commercial zone now known as Shio. And still in the present, property developers move in aggressively to buy out old businesses one by one. Eventually, every surrounding building was sold, but not Lee's. The building that houses Lee's Noodles, cracked concrete, exposed piping and all, remains owned by the Lee family. Over the years, developers have made repeated offers, each one higher than the last. At one point, it's said that the offer was enough to buy the entire block twice over. Of course, Old Man Lee refused every single one. After his passing, his daughter took over the shop, though unlike many family businesses, she didn't modernize it. No rebranding, no second location. The menu hasn't changed beyond minor additions. Around it, the city transformed. Massive glass towers rose. Global chains moved in, bringing polished storefronts and automated kitchens. The alley where Lee's sits was never fully redeveloped. Too narrow for major construction, and too legally complicated due to Lee's property holding its ground. In recent years, Lee's Noodles has become a somewhat iconic tourist location due to it gaining social media attention for its story. I've also been told by this comment that Display Delight is now on Fabric. Oh my god, have I waited for this day. Basically, if you're unaware of what this means, oh my god, that looks so good. That looks so good. Oh, yeah. Oh my god. I have also included the data pack to craft light, the light item, because sometimes the signs don't work. Sometimes my Cyberpunk lights stop working for some reason. If you don't want to play with it included and you still want to use the schematics, that's fine. You can just set the schematic cannon to skip the missing blocks. Alright, so it's gonna have noodle soup here. Noodle soup here. Let's put one here and one here. I'm gonna go ahead and pair this with some dumplings. I'm gonna put can you see it if I put it up here? If I put some cabbage rolls up there? Yeah, you can see that. Oh, that's so cute. Cabbage rolls here and some dumplings here. Okay. Wow. All right. The coolest thing about this area right now is that it's completely finished. This view down here is basically gonna be the exact same when the entire city is done. So if I sit here, I can manipulate my brain into thinking that we have finished the entire project till I come over here and I break the illusion. We've got a lot of work to do. Now I want to go back to the main area of Shio, this little street, and do some more work here. And I think what I have is pretty interesting. Partially what I want to do with this series, on top of building a really sick looking city, is to try and incorporate some real life ideas and concepts that I find interesting. And something that I want to introduce today, because I think it fits the vibe of the Shio district really well, is this idea of soft power. And you might be wondering, what the hell is that? And fair enough, I mean, this phrase is almost like an oxymoron. But basically, it's essentially this idea of forcing influence not through things like money or military or whatever, but instead with anime and other things. And I'm not joking. When a country uses soft power to gain influence, it's basically like manipulating you to think more fondly of it, using certain elements like pop culture or music, or lifestyle to pull you in, so you'll pull up and like spend a bunch of money. Until recently, when you're talking about Asia, one country has had a bit of a monopoly on soft power, I'd say, at least over the internet, and that country is Mongolia. I'm joking, it's obviously it's Japan. The amount of soft power this country has is insane, and I think I realized this when I was talking to my friend one time and she said everyone likes something Japanese. And that kind of put it into perspective for me. Interestingly though, throughout the past, I don't know, decade or so, we've seen a bit more competition in the scene with the rising popularity of K-pop and K-dramas. We also had a movie pop up last year which definitely helped because now South Korea's even tapped into the fucking brain rot market.
Oh shit, they got it on the...
Oh, dude,
Sergeant Boys and Hunts. They plastered it on the door.
You're gonna collect all
13 different ones to collect.
You're gonna collect all of them, bro.
Who's your favorite, Nathan?
I like Zoe. Medium or large?
$20, bro. That's ridiculous.
They look the same as well.
Dude, they're out of demon sauce.
They sold out of demon sauce.
Well, this is the worst experience ever.
Man, I'm excited for this.
$20.
The Huntrix meal.
$20 for the Huntrix meal. What are you getting, James? You don't refill your water?
Why is the demon sauce sold out?
What's the best part, isn't it?
Isn't the only thing that's like different about the
Yeah,
meal?
I think
Otherwise
so.
it's just nuggets.
Just chips and nuggets.
That's
my favorite character.
James asking to refill
This
his
is water.
Damn, bro.
Oh, thank you.
We paid like $5 extra for. Wait, no, they got the custom packaging.
No, custom packaging.
Bro, we got Zoe, bro. That's a
Zoe.
good pull. That's a big
Hey.
pull.
Obviously, there's a lot that goes into a concept like soft power. It's kind of hard to recreate, so I'm taking a bit of a different approach instead. Instead of having an ecosystem of media and pop culture, we're gonna have one character, with the idea being that this city had one thing go like super viral, and they've kind of decided to make that the center of all of their soft power. So meet Momo. She's an original character I commissioned an artist to make, and she's basically gonna be the soft power cow for our city. So I've made up a little story that we can eventually build off of in the future. For now she is kind of this character from a low budget animated series from the early 2010s, and during the first season she was kind of like a side character who was designed to be marketable but not like dominant, not a lead role. However, some random scene of her went viral and now suddenly she is everywhere. When the show was renewed for the second season, she basically became the lead, and the writers started like making her clip farm and all of that to make her go viral. And then after that, the city picked up on this and they began putting her on ads and billboards, and big companies started collaborating with her, and like pop-up stores started coming up and all of that stuff. So we're gonna fill out some of these billboards. Oh my god, I got it like perfectly, god damn. This is sadly the widest it will go, so it's not gonna grow to fill these 2 bars, but you know, maybe that's part of it. Now for the part I'm dreading. Interiors. I went between wanting to do every single interior and not, but then I realized that it would probably take me literal decades if I did all that, so I decided on this. I'm planning to do interiors of all the public buildings, like shopping malls and schools and hospitals and things adjacent to that. And I'm gonna mostly avoid doing private spaces like residential housing and stuff. To make things more interesting and easier, honestly, I decided to come up with brands, with your help, as I go and put them on a dock. So I'm able to reuse them, which gives the world building an additional layer. This way I have an expanding roster of brands that I can refer to if I'm ever not trying to be creative or something. And it's also cool because it's realistic. Like obviously in a big city there's gonna be a bunch of chains and not every shop is gonna be an independent brand. This once again adds a whole nother level of nuance, and it also works well because I can introduce you guys to the brands when I first build them, and I don't have to keep explaining what I'm building. If you're watching these episodes in order, that is. I mean, if you're starting on like episode 7, it might be confusing, but that's obviously not a problem for any of you because we are currently on episode 2. Also, there are many things you have to consider when designing a public space that actually make filling these rooms a lot easier. Like, for example, something I completely overlooked in the first episode, toilets. There should be an abundance of these in a large commercial area for obvious reasons, so that's something I can automatically build when designing an interior. After I installed Display Delight and all of those other mods, I got a little bit excited, and we also installed DecoCraft, if you haven't already realized from the time-lapse. I don't want to overuse it because the props are very detailed, but I think for some things it will add a nice little touch. So how does this work? Do I need like fuel? Ah, yes, okay. Oh my god, that takes up a lot. Wait, no. No, that's just for it to charge. You put it up here. Okay. Okay, and now if I want something, I put in the raw material and I just search, right? Craft. Ah, perfect. Now we have an ATM. Okay. Alright, that's one of the interiors down. Kind of. There's still some stuff that's kind of unfinished. My vision for this building is, it's very poppy on the outside, but it's kind of one of these buildings that it's in the center of the popular district, but nobody ever comes inside to this area, is what I was thinking. Like, if it's your first time visiting the city, your friend might take you here, and then they might be like, hang on, what's in here? I've never actually gone in here before. Got some posters in here, and we have, this was supposed to be a nail salon, and then like one of these like ass places where you consult somebody for your SIM card or something. I don't know. I feel like it fits the vibe so well. Like, these kind of places always have a nail salon, and like one of these things. We also got toilets now. It's good. Public toilets. Very nice. Up here we have a little drink stand, and we have a little, I guess it's like a cheap clothes shop, I guess is what this is. Then we have like a little music shop as well. So a very random little plaza, but told you I would introduce you to my brands though. So we have, these are supposed to be like 3 fast food chains, but they're like express chains, you know what I mean? We have here a little cheesecake shop. This one's called Crown Cheesecake Co. We have a noodle shop called Blaze Bowl. This is a spicy noodle shop, so it's a competitor to Lee's Noodles. And then here we have a Zhongdu Skewer House. So this is kind of the fast food skewer branch. And then if you come over here, you have another convenience store, because convenience stores are everywhere. And then you have a little cafe in here, a little tucked away hidden cafe. This is supposed to be like a mochi stand. When I visited Japan, I noticed that there were a bunch of mochi stands on like the sides of hallways in public areas, so I recreated that one. Anyway, the rest of the video will probably be finishing up some of these stores, and also right now it's just a bunch of buildings sitting on stone, so we gotta make this an actual part of our city as well. I then decided I was gonna tackle the streets and polish up the area, making it look actually presentable. But the thing is, there's so much to like the streets of a big city that you just don't think about. Like for example, I'm gonna ask you to visualize a street right now. Okay? I bet you didn't visualize this thing. So I decided the best way to tackle this problem was just to head to a big city.
What's the tech, bro? What's the tech?
Yeah, where do you sit on the Sydney train? If this guy's a racist.
Yes.
Yes or no?
He started the wool market here, yeah. He was a fucking... he was a businessman.
He established.
He definitely did not pay his workers correctly.
Imagine putting like you and your boys up on the building in the middle of the statue. That's what they thought.
I think we took the wrong turn, bro. Brooklyn Bridge. What? It's lucky 100 mil.
He's about to jump out.
Wait, is there Tidsborough? Oh yeah. This is like every Sydney trip ever to look at these places. Yeah, I guess so. I did.
The main thing I noticed about walking around Sydney for a day is there's so many plants. Like, I guarantee you if you go outside to your local center or city center or whatever and just take a look around, there will be so many more plants than you remember. Here I also decided to put up a little statue of a bear because I thought that would be a cute idea. Also, this comment said too. Alright, so I have a great idea. Thing is, originally I was gonna finish this area up by building all the shops here. I have like a full interior layout planned here. And then I was also gonna punch some more shops just like these ones into this wall here and also these walls here. And also I have this whole building to do, which is gonna be full of shops as well. Thing is, I'm getting a little sick of building these brands and I'm sure you're probably pretty sick of watching me build them as well. So I've come up with a solution. In between this episode and the next episode, I'm gonna upload a short every week with a new brand, and I'll just slot it somewhere either in here or over there or over there. This way I can put a little more thought into each brand so I'm not just making them back to back to back, and also you guys get content. Because right now it's been like 3 months and I haven't uploaded a single thing. And additionally, if you hate shorts, which honestly, fair enough, I'll include a little recap of me building all the brands in the next episode, somewhere in the next episode as well. So, fear not. I do acknowledge that there has been a massive gap between this upload and the previous upload, and I do apologize for that. This episode has had a lot of off-camera resource gathering, so that's taken up a lot of my time, but also I haven't been exactly the most productive. I actually really like this part of the song. It reminds me of a cheesy, sentimental, like, cliche, bittersweet ending of a movie where it's like trying to be really emotional and there's a bunch of cliche shots and then there's this corny narration. Well, that brings us to the end of the video. We went on some pretty silly adventures this time, but in the end, I think the real city was the friends we made along the way. Anyway, in all seriousness, thank you for watching all the way till the end. I'm thinking of making a public transport focused video next episode, so a metro system and an airport if that's something you'd like to see. If you want to support me or download the schematics to any of the builds I did in this episode, the link to my Patreon will be in the description. look out for the shorts, and I'll hopefully see you guys soon.
Yo, guys, what's going on today? Today we're at the Mac Design
remover.
New South Wales. What we're gonna do today is gonna be reviewing our own food. Today we've got a little K-pop Demon Hunters box, and we finna open this shit and eat it right now. So basically,
For the Tids YouTube channel, guys. If you're not subscribed, you gotta check out Tids on YouTube.